Don't tell the world that you're waiting for me. By Eliza Cook. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Davis Drake. 3 summers have gone since the first time we met, love, and still 'tis in vain that I ask thee to wed. I hear no reply but a gentle, "Not yet, love," with a smile of your lips and a shake of your head. Ah, how oft have I whispered, how oft have I sued thee, and breathed my soul's question of "When shall it be?" You know, dear, how long and how truly I've wooed thee, so don't tell the world that you're waiting for me. I have fashioned a home where the fairies might dwell, love. I've planted the myrtle, the rose, and the vine. But the cottage to me is a mere hermit's cell, love, and the bloom will be dull till the flowers are thine. I've a ring of bright gold which I gaze on when lonely, and sigh with hope's eloquence, when will it be? There needs but thy yes, love, one little word only, so don't tell the world that you're waiting for me. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Letter from Heloise to Peter Abelard. Read for LibriVox.org by Rhonda Fetterman. To Peter, to her only one after Christ, she who is his alone in Christ. We were greatly surprised when, instead of bringing us the healing balm of comfort, you increased our desolation and made the tears to flow, which you should have dried. For which of us could remain dry-eyed on hearing the words you wrote toward the end of your letter? But if the Lord shall deliver me into the hands of my enemies, so that they overcome and kill me? My dearest, how could you think such a thought? How could you give voice to it? Never may God be so forgetful of his humble handmaids as to let them outlive you. Never may he grant us a life which would be harder to bear than any form of death. The proper course would be for you to perform our funeral rites, and for you to commend our souls to God, and to send ahead of you those whom you assembled for God's service, so that you need no longer be troubled by worries for us, and follow after us the more gladly because freed from concern for our salvation. Spare us, I implore you, Master, spare us words such as these which can only intensify our existing unhappiness. Do not deny us before death the one thing by which we live. Each day has trouble enough of its own, and the day shrouded in bitterness will bring with it distress enough to all it comes upon. Why is it necessary, says Seneca, to summon evil and to destroy life before death comes? You ask us, my love, if you chance to die when absent from us, to have your body brought to our burial ground, so that you may reap a fuller harvest from the prayers we shall offer in constant memory of you. But how could you suppose that our memory of you could ever fade? Besides, what time will there be then, which will be fitting for prayer, when extreme distress will allow us no peace, when the soul will lose its power of reason and the tongue its use of speech? Or when the frantic mind, far from being resigned, may even, if I may so, rage against God himself, and provoke him with complaints instead of placating him with prayers. In our misery then shall we have time only for tears, and no power to pray. We shall be hurrying to follow you, not to bury you, so that we may share your grave instead of laying you in it. If we lose our life in you, we shall not be able to go on living when you leave us. I would not even have us live to see that day. For if the mere mention of your death is death for us, what will the reality be if it finds us still alive? God grant that we may never live on to perform this duty, to render you the service which we look for from you alone. In this may we go before, not after you. Heloise. End of letter. This recording is in the public domain.
Let It Be This Way Ever, Dearest, by Elizabeth Barrett Browning, from the letters of Robert Browning and Elizabeth Barrett Browning, Volume 1 of 2. Read for LibriVox.org by Caitlin Cooper. EBB to RB, Friday morning. Postmark January 31st, 1846. Let it be this way ever, dearest. If in the time of fine weather I am not ill, then, not now, you shall decide, and your decision shall be duty and desire to me both. I will make no difficulties. Remember in the meanwhile that I have decided to let it be as you shall choose. That I love you enough to give you up for your good is proof, to myself at least, that I love you enough for any other end. But you thought too much of me in the last letter. Do not mistake me. I believe and trust in all your words. Only you are generous unawares as other men are selfish. More I meant to say of this, but you moved me as usual yesterday into the sunshine, and then I am dazzled and cannot see clearly. Still I see that you love me and that I am bound to you. And what more need I see, you may ask? Well, I cannot help looking out to the future, to the blue ridges of the hills, to the chances of your being happy with me. Well, I am yours, as you see, and not yours to tease you. You shall decide everything when the time comes for doing anything. And from this to then, I do not, dearest, expect you to use the liberty of leaping out of the window, unless you are sure of the house being on fire. Nobody shall push you out of the window, least of all I. For Italy, you are right. We should be nearer the sun, as you say, and further from the world, as I think, out of hearing of the great storm of gossiping when Sirocco is loose. Even if you like to live altogether abroad, coming to England at intervals, it would be no sacrifice for me. And whether in Italy or England, we should have sufficient or more than sufficient means of living, without modifying by a line that good free life of yours which you reasonably praise. Which, if it had been necessary to modify, we must have parted, because I could not have borne to see you do it, though that you once offered it for my sake I never shall forget. Mr. Kenyon stayed half an hour, and asked, after you went, if you had been here long. I reproached him with what they had been doing at his club, the Athenaeum, and blackballing Douglas Jerrold for want of something better to say, and he had not heard of it. There were more black than white balls, and Dickens was so enraged at the repulse of his friend that he gave in his own resignation like a privy councillor. The really bad news is of poor Tennyson. I forgot to tell you. I forget everything. He is seriously ill with an internal complaint and confined to his bed, as George heard from a common friend, which does not prevent his writing a new poem. He has finished the second book of it, and it is in blank verse and a fairy tale, and called The University, the University members being all females. If George has not diluted the scheme of it with some law from the Inner Temple, I don't know what to think. It makes me open my eyes. Now isn't the world too old and fond of steam for blank verse poems, and ever so many books to be written on the fairies? I hope they may cure him for the best deed they can do. He is not precisely in danger, understand, but the complaint may run into danger, so the account went.